Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today where we sit on May 22nd, 2021 is the start of the NBA 2021 playoffs. As we know, the play-in tournament ended last night with some incredible games, including the Lakers Warriors and the Warriors Grizzlies. Surprisingly, the Grizzlies and Stephen Curry didn't make it, which led us to this bracket. Play-in tournament teams 7 and 8 seed from the Western Conference being the Lakers and the Grizzlies, and on the Eastern Conference, the 7 Celtics and the 8 Wizards making it in. Which leads us to this bracket on screen right now. Our matchups include the Utah Jazz versus the Memphis Grizzlies, the LA Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets versus the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Phoenix Suns versus the LA Lakers. That is the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, you have the number 1 Philadelphia 76ers versus the Washington Wizards, then the New York Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat, and the Brooklyn Nets versus the Boston Celtics. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to simulate this bracket right here, the NBA 2021 playoffs in 2K21. I know the playoffs has already started. Matter of fact, it's going on right now. I'm pretty sure the first game, which is being played as I speak, is the Bucks versus Heat. But one game should not matter because, as we know, the NBA playoffs is best of 7 series all the way to the final games. With that being said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's start with our first matchup in the Western Conference, being the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's go. Well, we're into our first game. Donovan Mitchell just hit a bucket off the glass. I want you to take a look at the scoreboard and what's above it right now. Memphis is leading this series 3-0 and are also leading this game by a total of 9 points. John Morant, probably doing the most for this team in this series so far, is melting for a 3, connects, and now up to a 12-point lead and looking to close out this series in a sweep. And this is the number 1 seed Jazz, which I don't see this happening. If you guys watched the play-in tournament game last night, which was really good, the Grizzlies played a really good game. More John Morant played a good game, but I don't see him competing this well with the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, as they are just putting down even more points, up to a 14-point lead with only a half minute remaining. And as I look at things, the number 1 Jazz upset in a sweep by the play-in tournament team, the number 8 seeded Memphis Grizzlies, as Clark on a shooting foul is going to take the Utah Jazz and Rudy Gobert to the line. Well, anyways, that's a wrap from this series between the Grizzlies and the Jazz. Biggest upset possible, and a sweep as well, as the Jazz, I don't know what happened there. 98-87 final score from Game 4, and the Memphis Grizzlies and John Morant are moving on to the second round in a sweep over the best team in the Western Conference. What other games we got to look at? So here's a look at the playoff bracket so far through 4 games in the first round. As we know, the Memphis Grizzlies pulled out a sweep versus the best team, the Utah Jazz, in the Western Conference. And let's take a look at some other matchups, including a 2-2 tied series between the Clippers and Mavericks, a 3-1 lead for the Denver Nuggets, and a 3-1 lead for the LA Lakers, which we already know this is going to happen, the 7 versus 2 seed. And then you have the 3-1 Eastern Conference with the 76ers over the Wizards, a tied series at 2 between the Knicks and the Hawks, a 3-1 lead for the Milwaukee Bucks over the Heat, and a 3-1 lead for the Nets and Boston. I'm going to go into Phoenix and Lakers. We're not going to do this video in order because it's best of 7 series. We're going to go into this game. We're going to see if the Lakers can close out this series versus the Suns, and then we'll see what happens from there. Let's go. Well, in dire situations for the Phoenix Suns, the number 2 seed in this bracket, they're down by quite a bit, 11 total points with only a minute on the clock now. So as the look of it, the LA Lakers, which of course, they don't deserve to be number 7 seed, as Chris Paul connects to the floater and get back on his feet. 107-96. As I said, the Lakers, they don't deserve to be 7 seed. They've been plagued with injury the whole year, missing AD and LeBron for months times. So, for the 7 seed Lakers, it just doesn't make sense. They should be the number 2 seed, and that exactly, just sums up why they're winning the series. And it probably will happen in real life too. This is the cool fact is that the number 7 Lakers, for the first time since 30 years, the number 7 seed is favored to win over the number 2 seed in the playoffs. As Chris Paul making a move to Saric and gets blocked. Paul to Crowder. 35 seconds. It's still an 11-point game. Chances of comeback is very low. Devin Booker is not in the game. And this one just going to march out to the shot clock as Chris Paul going to try to find ways. Paint blocked again. And it's going to be Suns ball still. So anyways, as I said, the Lakers, you can call it an upset if you want to. But no number 2 seed and no number 1 seed This series is going to come to a close in Game 5 as the Lakers will win it 4-1 over the Phoenix Suns, the number 2 seed. The Lakers are moving on. Now let's take a look at our bracket because some other series are probably finished now. Let's see who's moving on, and we have some other games to take a look in the first round. And we're marching our way down. Let's see. Alright, here's a look at our bracket through 5 games, and as you can see, we already know the Grizzlies and the Lakers are moving on, but there's some other matchups we'd finished, including the Sixers beating the Wizards 4-1, and the Nuggets pulling out a 4-1 series victory over Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. We have some other good matchups tied at 3-2 series, so we can see some potential series ending, or we can see some go to a Game 7. We're going to take a look at the Knicks and Hawks because this is a really interesting series. Let's see what happens here in game number 6 between these two teams in the Eastern Conference. Well, in Game 6, the Knicks beat the Hawks 123-109. You can take a look at that in the bottom in that little gray box. The series is tied at 3, so we're going to take a look at Game 7 if it's going to be a close one. Let's see what happens here between the Hawks and the Knicks. Alright, in Game 7 here in New York, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks versus Julius Randle and the New York Knicks. The Hawks just put on some more points. That's the last thing the Knicks need in the situation as they are down by, I believe, 7 points, if I'm not wrong. I don't know why I can't do the math right now. With 2 minutes now. And I believe that's Derrick Rose in the Knicks. He's going to get into the paint, gets a floater, and gets those 2 points right back to make it a 5-point game. 21 points tonight, 8 in this quarter for Derrick Rose and the Hawks. If they get any more points, I think they're going to walk away with a Game 7 victory, move on to the second round. As Trae Young going to take it down the middle into the paint and gets fouled. Burks in the shooting foul, and Trae Young will go to the line to shoot 2 to potentially take a 7-point lead right back with 1:41. First shot for Trae Young. This one connects to 114-108, and his second shot to make it a 7-point game. Yes, with 1:41, 7-point game for the New York Knicks to work through. Rose, Randle, everyone on the Knicks, which have surprised the NBA this year, coming out of nowhere and finding their way into the playoffs at 5 seed. With 1:30 on the clock, 90 seconds, Derrick Rose finds his way to the paint, dribbling at the free throw line to Randle, back out to RJ Barrett from Duke. He's going to work his way, and he's going to get fouled by Trae Young. 4th personal for Trae Young, and now RJ Barrett's going to go to the line. First shot for Barrett. This one's making a 6-point game. Connects 115-109, and they get it between 5 again for the Knicks. They need to stay here if he makes it. Yes, alright, so now the Knicks are going to need a defensive stop, which is not working so far. As Trae Young going to take this one down the court. Met at the top by Rose. He's going to dribble it at the arch, looking for a screen. Couldn't get it. Passes out for a shot. And this one's off. Rebound by Randle. And now with a minute, got to get some points here. To Derrick Rose. He's going to dribble his way to the paint. Finds his way to Robinson and puts it through. 115-112 with 1:02 seconds. Now down under 60 seconds. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. It's a 3-point game. Need to get points here to possibly ice this game. Trae Young finds his way. This one makes it. Oh, what a shot by Trae Young. Somehow found his way through. Trae Young with 29. Julius Randle with 27. 45 seconds left. Don't count the Knicks quite yet. Here comes Derrick Rose. It's a quick jumper. This one's off. Rebounded by Randle. Oh, he puts it back through. 117-114. 3-point game. 40.9 seconds remaining. Trae Young is going to walk down the court. Now approaching half a minute. At the top of the arch, his quick shot is off. Rebounded by Randle. He's going to push it with 30 seconds. This one to RJ Barrett. Fouled and one. Potential 3-point play to tie it at 117. And Hunter is fouled out with 10 points in the game. What a game so far. Win or go home scenario. And to tie the game is RJ Barrett from Duke at 117. Can he tie it? He will. And timeout Hawks with 27.4 seconds remaining. Alright, Trae Young is going to take this one off the inbound. He's at the top of the arch now. There's a few more seconds added on, plus the shot clock. So they can dribble this one down, but they'll still have about 3 seconds left for the Knicks' favor. Is exactly what they're going to do here. Is Trae Young is going to dribble this one all the way down to the shot clock's end. Policy look for a shot as he gets outside. He's going to stay above the arch, guarded by Derrick Rose. 4-3. Good! Trae Young, 2-point lead actually. They're going to count as a 2. But still, points, it's still good. 119-117. Over Derrick Rose. And with 3.6 seconds Knicks get the ball back and called a timeout. Can they connect here? Robinson the inbound. This has been one crazy game so far. 3.6 seconds. Derrick Rose on the move. Gotta make a pass soon. Gets to the Derrick Rose. Time is ticking. He's gonna take the final shot off. The Atlanta Hawks win the series. Game 7 victory to ATL. And they're moving to round 2 over the New York Knicks. What a game. What an ending. Final score from Madison Square Garden. 119 to 117. Trae Young and the Hawks move on. That's a wrap from Game 7. Let's take a look at some other playoff matchups that ended. And we're almost done with round 1. There might be some more Game 7s to look at. And if there's some more Game 7s like that one, then you might be in for a treat. Let's continue. Alright, so we're almost done with the first round. There's only one more matchup into a Game 7 we can do, which is the Clippers and the Mavericks. We'll get back to that in 1 second. But the Nets, we already knew they were moving on. They won 4-2 over the Celtics, and the Bucks won 4-2 over the Heat. So we have 7 of the 8 teams moving on to round 2, including the Grizzlies, and then you got the Nuggets versus the Lakers, the Sixers versus the Hawks, and the Nets versus Bucks. Let's get our Game 7 between the Clippers and Mavericks done, and then we can take a look into round 2. Let's go. Well, that's going to do it from Game 7 between the Clippers and the Mavericks, and that's also going to do it for round 1, as the Clippers are the last team to punch their way into round 2. Let's take a look at our new bracket with the 8 teams out of 16 that are moving on to the second round of play. Final score from LA, 117-108. Clippers win. Alright, so here's a look at round 2. Our final 8 teams include the number 4 Clippers versus the number 8 Grizzlies, and the number 3 Nuggets versus the number 7 Lakers. And then on the Eastern Conference side, you have the number 1 Sixers versus the number 5 Hawks, and the number 2 Nets versus the number 3 Bucks. Let's just keep on going through this. Let's see what happens. Then we'll jump into some games with some crucial moments. And we'll see who continues on to the conference finals. Well, the Memphis Grizzlies, who gave it all they got in the first round of the playoffs versus the number 1 seed Utah Jazz, they can't take care of the LA Clippers. And kind of a favor for the Memphis Grizzlies to beat the Jazz because the Clippers didn't have to worry about them. So the Clippers find their way to the conference finals. They'll play either the Lakers or the Nuggets, and I believe that's in a Game 7 right now, so we'll go straight to that game. Our final through 5 games is a 104 victory for the Clippers over the Memphis Grizzlies with 92. Yes, so the Lakers and the Nuggets are into a Game 7. The Sixers are leading 3-2 over the Hawks, and the Nets already took care of business versus the Bucks, who, you know, they just always choke in the playoffs. 4-1 series victory for the Nets. So we'll go into Game 7 between the Nuggets and the Lakers, and then we'll take a look, if possible, Game 7 between the Sixers and the Hawks. Let's continue. And this is not the best situation for the LA Lakers, trailing by 9 points. It looks like they're going to get 2 here. Also a foul. Jokic gets his second personal, and Caldwell Pope takes a dunk into an and one. So it's 106-97. This is a possible 3-point play to make it 98 for the Lakers. As I said, wasn't the best situation, but that play right there for Caldwell Pope just made it a little bit better. Gave him a little bit more breathing room versus the Nuggets. And this is a Game 7 winner go home, as it says. Denver Nuggets with 13 steals and 5 blocks in the game. It's currently an 8-point game with 2 minutes left, so anything can happen. And there's Jamal Murray and Jokic. Both of them played really good in the bubble last year. Jokic, one-on-one coverage, and oh, that one just can't connect as Harrell gets a rebound, and Kyle Kuzma is now going to push this one. LeBron James not on the court now, but Anthony Davis is. This one, I believe, to Schroeder at the wing. He's just going to sit there. He's going to pass it out to AD for a shot for AD. That's a rare 3-pointer right there on the run for AD, but that one does not connect. To Michael Porter Jr. now pushing. Gets in trouble from behind at the free throw line. To Jamal Murray, guarded contestedly heavy. 1 minute and 30 seconds to the clock. Jokic going to back his way into the paint and find his way for a shot. Bullies his way into 2. It's a 10-point game. Jokic 29 minutes to 22 points. And now pushed up. And here comes a 108-98 score right now. This one to Davis. He's going to find his way. Pump fakes. Back on the Schroeder. Early jump into the pass. 10 seconds on the shot clock. And this quick shot right there. And connects. It's a 108-100 game. 8-point game for the Lakers. Now down to a minute in a dire situation for the Lakers. Win or go home, as it says. Jokic looking to find his way. Possible MVP. Spin move. What a shot from Jokic to make it a 10-point game with a minute. Lakers are in trouble. Back-to-back championship runs might not happen for the LA Lakers here in the simulation. Now down to 50 seconds. AD, LeBron James is not on the court, on the bench. To Schroeder, no, intercepted by Barton for a fast break, and puts it down. 12-point lead for Denver Nuggets. Schroeder now pushing 40 seconds. This one might do it. Might have been the dagger. Anthony Davis fouled though. And a 3-point possible play with 35 seconds left for AD. Insane. And here comes the substitution. I guess LeBron is injured possibly, or fatigued or something, as they're not going to put him in to end this game. And it just won't do much either, because it looks like the Nuggets can drain this one or get some points with Barton. No, can't connect. Last chance to the Lakers, and I don't think it's possible. And to Matthews, to AD for his shot. It's off. That's going to do it. No shot clock. The Nuggets move on to the conference finals, and they will play the Clippers. And the Lakers stunned in a Game 7 series. How about that? And just to speak of it as well, we can take a look at our bracket, but I am pretty sure that the Sixers also won. So we have our final four teams. I'll let you take a look at the bracket right now. Final score 112-103, Nuggets win. Okay, so we have our conference finals set. In the Western Conference, we have the number 3 Denver Nuggets versus the number 4 LA Clippers. No Lakers. And then in the Eastern Conference, we have the number 1 Philadelphia 76ers versus the number 2 Brooklyn Nets. Let's see which two of those four teams can make it and meet in the NBA Finals for the 2021 NBA Championship. Well, I just missed it, but the Clippers have been eliminated, and the Nuggets win 116-94 through 6, I believe, or 95, I mean. Yes, but besides the point, the Nuggets find their way. Out of all the teams, I just don't think the Nuggets are fit to play in the NBA Finals. I mean, that could come back and bite me, but the Nuggets in the NBA Finals, and now the number 1 and number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference is actually in Game 7. So, let's jump into this game. Let's see what happens between the Nets and the Sixers. It's no question that the Brooklyn Nets, filled with superstars, including Kyrie Irving, Blake Griffin, Kevin Durant, and who's the other one? James Harden. Yeah, I always forget they have him. Anyways, the Nets get it done in Game 7 versus Philadelphia, and the number 2 Nets, 120-111, they're going to move on to the NBA Finals to play the Nuggets. So we have the Nets and the Nuggets. Kyrie Irving just chilling in a t-shirt because he didn't have to find a way to play. Didn't even need to. We're going to go ahead and get to the NBA Finals. Nets are the Eastern Conference champions. Nuggets versus Nets. Up next. Well, I hate to say it, but sometimes the NBA Finals just goes down like this, where the other team just doesn't stand a chance. And as the look of it, the Brooklyn Nets leading 3-1 series, up by 16 with only a minute and 20. They're going to become the 2021 NBA champions, as James Harden tries to knock down a 3, but it's rebounded by Jamal Murray. As time is just going to take down under a minute, he'll get in the lane, get a shot, but this game is over. And well, that's going to do it. So with only 4 seconds on the clock, final shot goes. It's going to actually count. That'll be some extra style points for the Nuggets. The Brooklyn Nets are the 2021 predicted simulated NBA champions as they celebrate in joy, even though it seems like it's an unfair advantage having 5.5 superstars or whatnot on your team. The Nets, NBA Final champions, and my question is, who's going to win that Finals MVP? Because on a roster that's stacked, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, even damn Joe Harris at this point, who's going to win NBA Finals MVP is what I'm asking, because there's so many superstars on the Nets. So who do they think is going to win? I'm going to see that real quick. And it looks like James Harden, as he is raising the trophy right now with the other trophy in his hand. So James Harden wins the final MVP. And I also want to take a look at some other stats, such as, points per game, leaders, and other things in the playoffs to just see what 2K thinks of how some of the superstars are going to play out. The Nets, they win it all. Let's take a look at, oh, there's a floating hair in there. Let's take a look at some more stats in this playoffs, and that'll be the end of this video. Yeah, I figured I'd just show some stats real quick from some of the league leaders in this playoff bracket we did. With Luka Doncic leading the pack with 34.6 points per game. You can take a look at the rest. Followed by Julius Randle, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, and then there's James Harden, the NBA Finals MVP, followed by Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Bradley Beal, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We can keep on going on and on and on. You can see all the superstars. Let's take a look at our top 10 players in this playoff bracket. And yeah, that concludes it. NBA 2K believes that the Nets, the most stacked team we've seen since the Warriors 5 years ago, is going to win the 2021 NBA Finals. And I can kind of agree with that. The Lakers getting eliminated kind of early was concerning. I think LeBron James is, he's one of the best playoff players of all time. So he's going to carry his team up there somewhere. But I mean, who knows? We'll find out. Playoffs is going on right now as we speak. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys.